Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurrahmah Isnaini. I'm from class 33.48.02. In this section, I want to read a poem for Poetry Appreciation Project, Panel Test Project. Number 1, find a poem that contains work setting, then analyze it. So I'll analyze the work. The title is Work by Henry van Dyke. Let me back to my work from day to day, in field or forest, at the desk or loom, in roaring marketplace or tranquil room. Let me but find it my heart to sing, when fragrant wishes beckon me astray. This is my work, my blessing, not my doom. Of our life, I'm the one by whom this work can best be done in the right way. Then shall I see it not too great nor small, to sweet my spirit and to prove my powers. Then shall I cheerful greet the laboring hours, and cheerful turn when the long shadows fall. At eventide to play and love and rest, because I know for my work is best. So my analysis is, the field here is placed to work, and the desk is placed or where employees work. And the meaning of roaring marketplace is an intermediary platform connecting sellers and buyers, and tranquil room describes a quiet workspace. The last 4 lines in the first stanza show a strong determination to persist in his work, even to the fragrant which beckon his astray, always shake his determination. And the last, the synonym of laboring hours is working hours. Number 2, find a poetry that contains the author's background, then analyze it. So for number 2, my poem title is Birthday, Autobiography by Robinson Jeffers. 70 years ago, my mother labored to bear me, a 12-pound baby with a big head. Her first, it was plain torture. Finally, they used the forceps and dragged me out with one prong in my right eye and slapped and banged me until I breathed. I'm not particularly grateful for it. As to the eye, it remained invalid, and how has a cataract? It can see gods and spirit in its cloud. And the weird end of the world, the left ones for common daylight. As to my mother, a rather beautiful young woman, married to a grim salaryman, 23 years older than she. She had her little innocent diversions, her little travels in Europe, and once for scandal kissed the Pope's ring. Perhaps her life was no emptier than other lives. Both parents swim in my blood and distort my thought like the old man's will come. So my analysis is, this poem tells about the author's very heartbreaking background. It can be seen from the first stanza, which is the process he was born in. It was very painful thing, and now he lives with one eye that suffers from cataracts. And for the second stanza, tells about the writer's mother who married with a grim salaryman. They're both quite far apart in age, which is 22 years. They both lived a life full of scandals, and the writer was very ungrateful for everything. Number 3, find a poem that contains a critical perspective, then analyze it. My poem title is for the number 3 is Windows by Jessie Bell Rittenhouse. I look through others' window, one on an ancient earth, but out of my own window, solitude and death. And yet there is a mystery. I cannot understand that others through my window see an ancient land. My analysis for this poem is this poem contains elements of the proverb, the grass is greener on the other side. Often we look longingly at what others have while looking down on that is ours. And ironically, is that others see such beautiful in what we have. Number 4, it is analyze this poem on intrinsic, extrinsic elements and what is the message from this poem. So the poem title is Out by Robert Frost. The buzzsaw snarled and rattled and made dust and dropped stove-length stick of wood. Sweet scent stuff when the breeze drew across it. And from where those that lived eyes could count 5 mountain rains, one behind the others. Under the sunset, falling to Vermont, and the saw snarled and rattled, as it turned light or had to bear a load. And nothing happened. There was all but done. Call it a day. I wish they might have said to please the boy by giving him the half hour that a boy counts so much when saved from work. His sister stood beside them in her apron to tell them supper at the word the sound, as if to prove South knew that the supper meant. Leaped out at the boy hands, or seemed to leap. He must given the hand, whoever it was. Neither refused the meeting, but the hand. The boy's first outcry was a rueful laugh, as he zoomed toward them holding up the hand, half in appeal, but half as it to keep the lip from spilling. Then the boy saw all, since he was all in all to know, big boy, doing a man's work to a child at heart. He saw all spoiled. Don't let him cut my hand off. The doctor, when he comes, don't let him, sister. So, but the hand was gone already. The doctor put him in the dark of ether. He lay puffed his lips out with his breath. And then the watcher at his post took fright. No one believed. They listened at his heart. Little less, nothing that and it. No more to build on there. And they, since they were not the one that turned to their affairs. So here is the analysis and the message from Out poem by Robert Frost. This poem is talk about the death of young boys sawing logs for a pre-winter stove on a farm in New Hampshire. These juxtaposed elements are what create the initial tension in the poem. And similar energy resonate throughout watershed moment in the poem occurs in line 14 when the sister announced dinner, which caused a dramatic change of circumstance for the boy. It was ironic that his sister was at the center of the accident, calling workers over for a meal and possibly distracting the boys in the process. The life of farming family back then was difficult enough without life-threatening accident. In a desperate final plea to his sister, he asked the doctor to somehow save his hand from cutting it off, leaving him disabled for the rest of his working life. Each goes about his business described as selfish, happy to be alive, and able to face life without having acknowledged the unfortunate victim for too long, or any time at all, the unfortunate victim. So the message content on this poem is out is poem based on a true story that happened to the son of one first friends. It recounts the untimely death of a young man in, and in doing so it draws attention to the fragility of life and the somewhat callous nature in which life must go on in the face of with untimely death. So for the number 5 is create the poem that contains with number 1 figure of speech as the follow: A, simile; B, metaphor; C, personification; D, hyperbole; E, metonymy. And for number 2 is have the elements of rhyme and alliteration. Number 3 is the poem must be pentameter. Number 4 is the studies are free to choose the theme and the topic of poem. Number 5 is it must be original, don't copy pasted from another poem. Okay. A, simile. In the dark night, I remember all our memories, like shards of glass, the bad things that spirits us, like mistakes in hallucination. B, metaphor. The first time I meet you, I fall into your smile, love, and gaze. Makes me so fascinated to see you, holding all the feels that exist, trying to reach your apparent as if it's not allowed to coalesce. C, personification. The whole world looks prettier when you are by my side, saying all the words of gratitude. Thank God for bringing us together, and thank the universe that brought us together. D, hyperbole. Time goes so fast, you, me, us, been through hard times, together in joys and sorrows, until death do us part. And the last, A, metonymy. When all our efforts have been put in, can I borrow your time forever? Make yourself a place where my heart is anchored, cause only you, my only hope, to always survive in the harshness of this world. So that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.